I am Sean Hessinger. This is Small Biz in 15, the show where we bring you small business success in 15 minutes or less. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the show. Recently, Small Biz in 15 on location traveled to Austin, Texas for Zoho Day 2022 and talked with Zoho Senior Evangelist Chandra Shakar, LSP, about how to battle inflation in your business.
So inflation is a huge deal with small businesses in terms of their supplies, in terms of just about everything, gas prices, depending on what kind of small business it is. What steps can small businesses take to, if not control inflation, to at least mitigate the effect that it's having on their business?
Just about everybody wants to know about this, right? They want the silver bullet that can help them solve the inflation's challenge. Definitely a challenge, more so for smaller businesses than larger businesses, and depending on the type of business that you're in. And the way I look at it, one of the ways is data is your best friend. In situations like this, the fact that things are changing, especially I come from rural Ontario, and there's a lot of people who are in construction. That industry is completely on its head. And talking to friends around me who are in the business, the fact that they're not able to predict anything in terms of how the cost of goods would change for a project that's going to be implemented in 6 months, it's just been a conversation that keeps coming up. So I think it's about being strong enough and also doing the right thing for your business. Yes, it's going to impact a lot of customers and so on. However, at some point, they have to take the difficult process of changing prices if that's what they have to do. And then how do they do it? Can it just be an emotional gut feel? Absolutely not. That's where I say data is your best friend, and the ability to predict what's happening, what's going to happen to supplies is a constant challenge for businesses such as those. So they have to understand what the indicators are in their business from a data standpoint, and make the decision as to when to raise the price and at to what level. Because again, rising prices, are you going to raise it by 10%, raise it by 20%, 30%? No, there has to be some method behind this madness. It is madness to change prices in an increasingly competitive world, but what is the method? Help understanding trends in the past supply orders that you have sent out, what has happened to those prices, and then make an informed decision based on historical facts that you have, because you have all the data. No matter where you store it, whether it's Excel, whether it's actually a system, a transactional system, or tools that you use within your business, there is data. Make use of the data. Help you, and do the right thing with regard to pricing. The next thing I would say is this is a great time to understand what aspects of your business can be automated, because all these automations will essentially help you, even if not right away. But then that investment that you make in tools today is going to have a business impact, along the way, all the way, right? So understanding those aspects, changing the processes, and making sure that the investment that you make in business today helps you run it in future.
You said something right in the beginning, and I think it's the first thing that small businesses think. Because when you see in the media about what inflation is going to do, small businesses are saying, well, I'm just going to have to raise my prices. But that's not really that simple, is it? I mean, in a sense, you went into business in the first place because you had a service that you could provide that people needed at a price point that they could afford. So now that's sort of out the window. You have these supplies that are, these things that are different prices. How do you use data to figure out if you're going to raise prices? First of all, is that the right solution to raise prices? And if so, how to do it without destroying your competitive advantage, destroying your business, or chasing your customers away and having them say, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere else because I don't care about what your supply problems are.
A great question. Honestly, on what basis do you do it? Again, does every business have to raise prices? I don't think so. I think there are also other ways to mitigate that. For example, if you are getting a specific price for a specific product, maybe you may just have to buy some additional storage space and store it and have an inventory so that you are able to mitigate the price rise until a point that you can defer it, and then you're still able to have meet the commitments that you have made. And then the fact that you have been having this track of how much components have costed you over time, this is actually tracked in your system. Like I said, any system. Take a look at that, and then look at what profitability margins have, how profitability margins have changed for you in the business in the last 12 months or 18 months. Those indicators are good enough for you to help understand if you really need to raise prices. Okay, if you have to, can you mitigate it by just having more supplies in store? And then if it makes sense for you to basically go get some small storage space or small warehouse to keep those components. Again, I'm talking about it from a service and a different kind of industry perhaps, but the same thing applies everywhere, right? If you can stock up goods, I would say if you're in the business of computing like Zoho is, one of the things that there's a big challenge is with the supply of microchips, and that means everything gets affected, right? The cost of acquiring machines to set up our data centers. Like, I think everybody has a case where I think it makes sense. Maybe they have to have a warehouse and an inventory to, control to a point that they can. But there comes a point, right? Even that is going to stop. At that point, you have to make the decision, and the decision has to be based on data. And then you're also seeing the trends. There's inflation, and then there's also shortage. There's logistic and supply issues that's going on, and then sometimes it's all about timing, right? It's all about timing in these cases. So quite a few factors and attributes that they can, based on the business, you can put a finger on it and say, okay, here are the things that I can do, right? Again. We can probably get more detail about this, Sean, but overall, the idea is you have data and there are things that you can do. There's some kind of mitigation that can help initially, and then there comes a point where you have to pull the trigger, but pulling the trigger has to be with absolutely all the data and information that you have, and that's going to be your best friend at that point.
Taking a deeper dive into that, if we were to use an example of a hypothetical business, I've been hit with cost increases. I don't know. Maybe I'm an e-commerce business, and I've been hit with the increase of prices of everything I sell. How do I start to make the decision about whether I should raise prices, how much I should raise them, and what that's going to do overall to my business? Because e-commerce is one of those businesses where, people may be able to, unless I make something and no one else makes it, people are going to be looking all over the place to find something priced cheaper than me. So, prices, it becomes really important for e-commerce.
But one of the things that we do find today is more than price, it's the availability of products. And what's actually driving profitability for some of these e-commerce spaces are the fact that I can get, let's say, for example, something that I can relate to is the availability of, baby formula. The industry is hit. There are places where you don't get it. So the fact that you have it gives you an advantage, whether or not it's highly overpriced or underpriced, right? Because it's all about availability. It's a demand and supply challenges that everybody's dealing with. So can you get a leg up there? As a business, can you do something and understand, again, this is where data helps. You understand where the shortage is. If you're able to stock up supplies for things, I'm not saying hoarding, but then just for the sake of the competitive advantage, if your e-commerce site is able to give the community that you're serving the things that they need, that they're finding it difficult. And that's very easy. I mean, that's very easy to understand what's going on in your community or the place that you serve. It's easy to find that out. If you make that available, and if you play that, if you play a part in that ecosystem where you understand what's going on in your community, get the things that they need and put them out, you're just going to succeed. Again, it's not about price rise here. It's just about strategically having the supplies. That's about it. And I think that's the number one thing. That's driven by data. Now, let's say even Stevens, everybody has everything, and there's no supply shortage. It's all about price. I think the cost of acquiring the goods has changed, and I think And how do you increase it? Do you do it one time, or do you stagger it over a period of time because you're looking at your profit margins and you're saying, hey, here's a goal I want to be at. Maybe your profitability margin right now, profit margins are like, let's say 20%. And you don't want to go beyond below 17.55%. That's your goal. But you just don't change price overnight. Just get there and know by the end of the year, I'm going to be able to reach my goals if I price it this way. And again, that's where data is going to help you. Now, the other aspect that I think of is, there are businesses that have always been on-call businesses, in the sense you have a problem, you call the expert. It could be a technician, it could be a computer technician, it could be an HVAC technician and whatnot. All these people are always running business. When you call them, when you have a problem, they come and take care of it. But what if you actually now say, Sean, let's say I'm the HVAC guy. I come in and say, Sean, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up and take a look at your HVAC system every 6 months, and here's my fees. Kind of bring elements of subscription into your business. You don't always have to be there when they call you, but just show up and then create an opportunity. The fact that software has done this, right? I think there are ways where services can also quickly get onto this bandwagon and then use this as a way of creating opportunity. And yes, on one hand, you're creating opportunity, more avenues for revenue and profitability and so on. At the same time, this also allows you to take care of some of the challenges that you're going to otherwise face, because inflationary pressures are huge for everyone. Be it a small business, large, every size of business is going to be hurt. But the first ones going to be hit are the small businesses, because they depend on the supply chain from the bigger guys who are also hurt. And price rise is imminent. They're going to do it. And then it's going to cascade. And you are first in the line of attack in this case, right? You're the first one to be facing the market, and you would feel this more than anybody else. And you will have to do it at some point, the price rise thing. But again, think of ways that you can look at new avenues and new opportunities in terms what business models or pricing models can help you. It need not always be rising the price. It can be models that you can bring in that can help you to combat the inflation.
And now it's time for our small biz tip in 15 seconds or less. Don't be afraid to raise prices when confronted with increasing costs, but use your knowledge of past trends to avoid raising prices too far, lest you destroy your competitive advantage. Thanks again to Chandra Shakar, LSP, and Zoho Corporation. And please like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's show. And please leave a comment and let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future programs. For more small business news and tips, join us at smallbiztrends.com.